Okay, so we've got James Simpson, we've got Kelly Shirley, we've got Vicky Michelle, we've got John Luton. John was the co-director. And Graham Fowler is our cinematographer, but he's up there doing
taking photographs and what is that?
Yeah. So I hope you don't mind that the back of your heads will be in all the shots. Okay, I'm wondering.
So this is your opportunity to talk about the film and ask Ray about the things he did during his life, and nothing X-rated because that's in his autobiography.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody here seen a stage play? Put your hands. Anybody seen a stage play?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Not too many. Right. Of course. Now, somebody here has appeared in the stage play. Will you put your hand up? That's Mr. Wilson, who's putting our DVD together, and he actually appeared was it an amateur or professional production?
It was amateur.
Oh, amateur production of Rugby One.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you know? Anybody here know how long ago this play was written?
31 years ago.
Oh. What was that?
31.
31 years, yeah, 31 years. Now, incidentally,
Was it 31?
Was it?
Yeah.
Ruby!
You know those taxi drivers that...
I told him before he came in. Okay. Did you all spot our chums and friends, some of them who are well-known faces? Did you all spot them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got your hand up. That's my grandson Oliver. Why don't you put your hand up for me? What's that? What?
You and Anna.
You saw me and Nana. Yeah, you're quite right. You did. You saw me. And that was very nice, that round of applause you gave me. I've never seen it anywhere else. Did you? Right, okay. So, yeah, we all have one line. You all noticed Vicky Michelle. Did you all notice Dame Judi Dench?
Yes.
Anybody not notice Judi Dench? She was the bag lady.
Okay, let's play the film again.
Okay.
It's really interesting because Ray wanted the people that anybody, especially Dame Judi and Cliff Richard, not to be recognised straight away. And I think he sort of succeeded to a certain extent, because there's always someone or a few people that don't recognise those.
Yeah. But you all notice Brian Murphy and Bernie Cribbins. Okay, anybody get down? Here we are, my colleagues. Anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?
I want to know who that girl was singing before.
So do I.
Oh, Kelly Shirley.
Kelly Shirley, what was the question?
Kelly, what are you in?
Oh, come on, Kelly, what have you
What
been
have
in?
you been in, Kelly? Come on.
Amazing actor.
Come on, Kelly.
I've been in EastEnders, in The Office, all sorts of things.
What was your character in EastEnders, Kelly?
She's got Carly, she's Shirley's daughter.
That's right.
Ask Kelly what the most embarrassing moment was at the premiere in Leicester Square. Somebody put their hand up, go on.
What was the most embarrassing moment at the premiere?
Yes.
I had a wardrobe malfunction and I flashed my knickers.
It's very sad. All the press were on the Leicester Square on the carpet, and the wind, it was a pretty windy and rainy day. We organised everything but the weather. And suddenly it was like this wind came, and we had this beautiful dress, and it went up in the air, and the whole world.
But at least I was wearing knickers. So.
And they were crazy. You got in all the press.
It's really was my niece tonight. There was no wind, but a dress just went up.
Oh, really?
Yes, you have your hand
I
up.
just wanted to say that I've seen the show about 3 times.
Right.
The show was fantastic.
You mean the stage play?
Stage play.
Yeah.
But the film was better.
The film was quite
You should come to every screening. You should come to every screening.
I'm going to cry all the way home now.
Oh!
Mr. Cooley,
Yes.
31 years ago, the first production, can you name the lead parts in the first 31?
The very first.
Yes.
When it opened in London, I can name the 2 leads. Richard Briers, and what was so lovely, when Dickie appeared with his one line in this, so many people went, ah, because Dickie sadly died this year. And it was Dickie and Bernie Cribbins
Who's in?
Bill Pertwee was in it. Bill sadly
Bill.
gone. But no, it was a terrific production with some lovely players.
And may I also say, sir, to all the people in this audience and everybody who's going to see the movie, thank you to you personally for bringing so much enjoyment and fun.
Yeah.
My grandson has his hand up again. Yes,
When was the first time what was the first time on VOA was shown on screen?
on the screen. Well, it was at the premiere, which was about April the 4th.
Valentine's Day.
April the 4th, yeah,
Oh
that was
yeah,
the first
I
time.
saw that it came out Valentine's Day.
That was pretty amazing occasion because, you know, for this to be shown at the Odeon Leicester Square with a red carpet and all that stuff, it was pretty. But
It also was
went
the
no
small-
better than it did today with you lot. You
But
were
it
a
all-
fantastic audience.
It was the smallest independent film ever premiere at Leicester Square.
And also, we were talking to one of the security guys, and he said he worked at the Leicester Square Theatre for 17 years, and he had never, ever seen so many celebrities at one premiere in his life, because everyone turned up. And there was lots of people that Ray had asked to be in the film that were working, David Jason, who
Yeah.
else? Oliver Blackman.
Yeah.
There were so many celebrities there, it was a fantastic time.
Right, any questions for anyone?
Yes.
Are they going to make a second movie and can I star in it?
First bit's easy, the second bit's out.
You want to start?
Sorry.
You're going to fix Danny Dyer, aren't you? Yeah, well, we're probably going to make Caught in the Net, which was the stage sequel to it, but you know, we're all a bit busy at the moment, so that might well be sometime next year. Yeah, who's got their
What
hand
has this young lady been in as well?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Oh, how did you ask that?
I only say this for
Hello, hello.
The first sex symbol I remember on BBC television. What was the woman that criticised you? Mary Whitehouse.
Did she criticise me?
Absolutely. Sex symbol.
Now listen very carefully. I shall say this.
Hand up over there, yes, sir.
Kelly, what other you've been doing TV and you've done film? What theatre productions have you been in, if any?
I've done quite a bit. I'm doing a play for One Man, Two Governors at the moment, which is at the Theatre Royal Haymarket, a play that made sort of James Corden famous.
And when are you going in?
Oh, I start on the 23rd of September for 6 months.
Amazing play.
It's brilliant. It's really funny. So I'm doing that.
And she's been in Australia doing that for 4 months?
6 months.
6 months, sorry.
Which theatre is it at?
It's at the Theatre Royal Haymarket.
Theatre Royal Haymarket.
And I worked at the Royal Court and the National and all sorts of events and things.
The lovely thing about nearly everybody in this movie is that they're all basically theatre actors and actresses. I mean, Kelly, the two guys playing the two policemen, well, obviously, you know, all my old chums, but they all came out of the theatre, and it was such a happy team, which is what you need in my kind of stuff. You need a team.
Your granddaughter?
My granddaughter.
What got you inspired to write Run for Your Life?
Oh, good question.
Well, because I've got two wives. Oh! I've got to be careful because my real wife is sitting there as well. No, it's lovely for me here because we've got our son Michael over, who's a very successful screenwriter in Hollywood, and he's over here with his the two kids. What inspired me? Now, what sort of happens with me is I get an idea in my head, like a man with two wives, what kind of predicament he would be in if there was a danger of them finding out. And the first thing I had to think of was what would be a good profession, a good line of business for a bigamist to be in, so he could get away with it. So of course I thought of the taxi driver.
Yeah, the cab driver.
And then I was once getting in a taxi to the Criterion Theatre where I happened to be doing a stint in Run for Your Life. And I said to the cab driver, I said, where do you want to go to? I said, I want to go to Run for Your Wife. He said, I've seen that. I said, yes, but a cab driver with 2 wives. He says, mate, you don't know the art.
Hey, I'm going to just, because obviously I've spent within the last 2 years talking to you, there's one thing which I found fascinating, which I'm sure they will. Tell me about you writing the idea, what you wrote it on in a BA play, because I think this is a fascinating.
Well, it had gone round in my head, I'll tell you quickly. It had gone round in my head for months and months and months. We were flying to Australia, and I got on the plane and I thought, right, I've got this long journey, I'm going to write the basic premise of Run for Your Wife. And then I realised I hadn't got any paper. So the whole of the premise of Run for Your Wife is written on a sick bag.
BA sick bag.
Now, I'll tell you what, sitting over there on the left, he hasn't said anything. He was the associate, co-director with me on the movie, because I know nothing about movies, and John Luton knows it all. Is there anything that you'd like to ask John about the complexities, possibly, of the making of taking a stage play and making it into a movie? Anything that you've noticed about this? Anything to do with the cinematography of the movie? Anything you'd like to ask John?
I can tell you something about it, which you may find interesting. Is that the staircase in the building where Denise Van Outen lives, in that block of flats, and the staircase and the interior of the flats. The interior is in a studio, and the staircase was on location. And they were shot about 2.5 or 3 weeks apart. And one of the big continuity things we had to watch the whole time was, thinking back, someone has run up the stairs in a panic, and they crashed through a door, someone's behind them. 3 weeks later, we're going to go to the other side of the door and see them coming through. And they have to be in the right order, wearing the right stuff, the right hand here, or something else there. I mean, that was a mechanical thing, continuity doing it.
And what about the red paint sequence?
We tried to talk Ray out on red paint for a long time.
Did you like the red paint sequence?
And that was actually a really tricky moment. And actually, the technical thing about the red paint sequence, from a budget point of view, was we had to build this whole thing in the air with a tank underneath for all the water. But we only had the budget to do it once. So if it didn't work, we're absolutely screwed. Because we had to reset it. There was a lot of resets, and we hadn't got the time. Plus, also, we were very worried about the tank spilling out onto the studio, because the studio then would have to reconcrete the floor, and it's a nightmare. And we're all sat there with about 4 cameras running to capture it, thinking, oh, I hope this works. And it was perfect, wasn't it? I mean, and the other one, funny enough, which I was just digressing about getting things right the first time, I happened to have lunch with the producer of Only Fools and Horses, and I said to him, what's the funniest thing you ever remember Fools and Horses? He said, the chandelier scene. Right? And he said, I'll tell you why. He said, I'll tell you why. We only had the budget to do it once. Okay, when it dropped. And Lyndhurst and Jason kept corpsing all the time. And he said, I said to them, do not corpse, because we've got once all that drops, that's it. And he said they were so scared they didn't corpse, because once it fell, it was a great scene, but if it had gone wrong, the whole thing was dead.
I'm going to ask you all this. How many here have heard before the word to corpse? Yeah, only people who did. It means to laugh in the wrong place when you're on stage in a scene. And it came about because in Shakespeare's, what's the not Othello, what's the one, darling? Yeah, Gravediggers, a Hamlet. And it was in the Gravediggers scene, and they were lowering the corpse in the Gravedigger scene, and the 2 gravediggers started to giggle about something that had happened. And the director, William Shakespeare, got so upset with them that ever since then it's been, you will not corpse. And so that's how it comes back. So you all know now. So if you find it in a crossword puzzle, it's corpse.
Well, I didn't know that. I was like, right, thank you. Any other questions?
How many retakes did you have to do with the red paint?
How many what, darling?
How many retakes did you have to do with the red paint?
Retakes. Well, we did a hell of a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, well, we did a few of that. As I said, we only did going through the ceiling was only once, because that's all we could do. We did quite a few takes just because of different angles. It was was very messy, as you can imagine.
What was interesting about that, I think, Ray was talking about the theatre actors, Kelly and Co. who were doing the movie. And on that day, Chris Biggins and Lionel Blair, and that was cold water. And they were soaked all day long. They sat in there.
They did
chairs.
one.
No,
Chris
no.
And they never complained of it. Can I just ask you a question? Danny Dyer is known really as a thug and a gangster and a hard man and all the stuff he does. And he took on this part, playing this very heavy, big role in this comedy. How did you think he did?
Kelly, what funniest moment in, just asking from them, in the film for you in terms of what you did? So I know you had some, she formed an amazing relationship with Denise Van Outen.
Yeah.
You did, you became friends, didn't you, and worked?
I'd say probably all the stuff that you can't put up there. But with this, I mean, like you said, a really happy shoot. Everybody got on well, and that is rare.
Yeah.
And we just had the best summer, like filming it. And we did some silly outtake days, and I know it's really on PC, but we tend to do it in Chinese. Sometimes. Do you remember that day?
I remember
we did
it,
it in
yes.
Chinese.
Yeah.
Just silly things like that. But I just at the playing film is funny, and it was just fun. All of it was. I can't think of one thing.
Okay, I've been whispered in my ear. We're going to wind you up. Right, last two questions.
Can I ask, in this question, a great film, it's the second time I've seen it, it's there in premiere, so thank you. It was brilliant to see you again, that's actually but it's brilliant. And can I ask you, Vicky, something specifically, because you're an actress, you're iconic, everybody knows you everywhere, I think. What was it like to move from that role as an actress to being produced? What was the most difficult part?
It was completely different because you're going on behind the scenes and you're talking about business. And I did form my own company, and when Hello Hello finished, because I didn't think as an actress you need another string to go. So I had a business connection, and so I sort of went from working in front of the camera to behind the camera. But it's great. But I think that also when you're watching